great work that you have done in making AAHOA the single most influential owners association in the world. That didn't happen overnight, and it didn't happen by chance. It happened because a lot of people like you here today have put in a lot of work to make this association what it is. And we, myself included, get to reap the benefits of that. So thank you so much for everything you've done to make AAHOA what it is. You know, being in hospitality, one of the, I guess, the tenets of that is to build friendships and relationships. And we at AAHOA attempt to do that every single day. And over the last few years, especially here in Washington, D.C., under the leadership of Chirag Shah, our Vice President of Government Affairs, we have met and built relationships with a lot of really good people that help us accomplish our goals on behalf of the almost 15,000 AAHOA members. One such gentleman has joined us today, and it's my distinct honor to introduce you to him. Rolf Lundberg is the principal with the Lundberg Group in Washington, D.C., a D.C.-based government relations firm. And here's the key part. He represents various hotel interests in several high-technology companies. He is outside counsel to the International Franchise Association and to Choice Hotels. Prior to his current firm, Mr. Lundberg was Senior Vice President for Government Affairs at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, as well as Vice President for International Relations for Marriott International. He has extensive legal and political experience in the United States Senate. He was Deputy Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Import Administration of George H.W. Bush. He is a graduate of the University of Virginia College of Arts and Sciences, the University of Virginia Law School, and the Johns Hopkins University School of Advanced International Studies. Please, let's give a warm AAHOA welcome to Rolf Lundberg.
Good afternoon, or good evening. You'll have to excuse me. Yesterday I lost my voice and it came back today. So please excuse me while I croak a little bit up here. But thank you, Chip, and thank you, Chirag and Jordan, for having me tonight. AAHOA, I do government affairs for Choice Hotels. Choice doesn't have a government affairs division inside the company. Instead, they rely on me. Steve Joyce relies on me to handle all of the issues that come before Choice Hotels at the local, at the state, and at the federal level. So that's quite a lot of issues that I have to handle. But in working on those issues, as Chip said, partnerships are absolutely essential. And there is no better partner for Choice Hotels than AAHOA. So often our interests are absolutely congruent, and particularly in the third item of the three objectives of AAHOA, protecting your investment. And protecting your investment is so often all about opposing or trying to change the direction of bad public policy. It is certainly the case today that this is a very perilous time for franchising and for small business and for the lodging industry when it comes to public policy. There are a number of issues out there that we worry about every day. Among them, the overtime regulations coming out of the Department of Labor that, all other things being equal, will likely go into effect sometime in 2016. Of course, we're pushing hard against those through the Congress to try to change the direction of those regulations. There are tax issues that all of you have been working on, that your fly-in was focusing on yesterday. Section 1031, like-kind exchanges, the extension of Section 189, bonus depreciation, and so forth as tax issues get worked out toward the end of this session of Congress. There are, at the local level, there are minimum wage challenges, particularly minimum wage initiatives that discriminate against franchising. That say, for example, in Seattle, one minimum wage with a phase-in period for franchise businesses and another phase-in period for non-franchise businesses. Clearly discriminatory, clearly unfair, and something that we have to ensure does not spread from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So we are working hard on that and working with AAHOA to oppose those kinds of minimum wage initiatives wherever they appear anywhere in the country. But I would say that at the moment, the mother of all threats right now is, as was mentioned in the video, the National Labor Relations Board proposal, the one called Joint Employer. What it does is it changes the definition, essentially, of who is an employer in this country. For 30 years, we have had, at least 30 years, we have had a definition of who can be considered a joint employer in this country under the National Labor Relations Act. And just a little over a month ago, the National Labor Relations Board decided to change what it meant and what it means going forward to be an employer in this country. Whereas before, the relationship between an employer and employee had to be one of direct and immediate control. The National Labor Relations Board has now proposed that not only direct control, but indirect control, and something they call unexercised potential control can be evidence of a joint employer relationship. What they're obviously aiming to do with this initiative is to erase the distinction between franchisor and franchisee and draw the franchisor into every labor negotiation with every franchise property, every franchise store, every franchise business in this country. And eventually, in fact, erase the distinctions between any two contracting parties who contract with each other in order to be able to go after deepest pocket and the party that is most able to negotiate a system-wide labor agreement, and in this way achieve indirectly what the labor unions were unable to achieve a number of years ago when they tried to move card check and were defeated in the United States Senate. The joint employer proposal would essentially end franchising as we know it as a viable business model. And we are doing everything we can to fight the National Labor Relations Board proposal. There are two avenues of attack that we are currently engaged in. One is to pass a law in the United States Congress that says the joint employer standard is what it has always been or was for 30 years. Two, to cut off funding through the appropriations process to the National Labor Relations Board for the purpose of implementing a new joint employer standard. We very much need your help and your participation in order to make the case to the Congress and to members of Congress that this is a terrible idea. It is aimed at small business. It eliminates, it destroys the very reason that you are in business and that you went into business in the first place as a franchisee of Choice or of Wyndham or of Hilton or in any other system. And it erases and destroys franchising as a way of doing business going forward and as a way of growing and climbing the economic ladder in this country. Or I'll be around to speak with many of you as the evening goes on. But thank you again very much.
Thank you all. We appreciate you being here tonight, but more importantly, your work on these incredibly important issues. Now I'd like to invite up the officers. We'll start with our chairman, Jimmy Patel. You can clap for him.
We've been here for 3 days. We had a great national advocacy conference in D.C. It was the first time that we met. I think almost half of our appointments were with actual officials. So that was the first time we were able to accomplish that. A lot of that's to do with the support staff that we have in D.C. with Chirag and his team here in D.C. And of course, none of this would be possible without the participation of our members and our ambassadors. We're well on our way towards the 15,000 member mark. 14,200 was last year's membership count. We look to surpass that number. We have a couple months left within the year. So again, this has been a path of growth that started about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and our membership has grown by 35% during that period. Our lifetime membership has more than doubled during the same period. And then, of course, our revenues continue to grow. They've grown by around 30%, 35% during the same time period. So again, as an association, that just proves that the organization is in the mindset of people. We are the voice of owners in the industry. We're a significant part of this industry to continue to grow. And all of this is made possible by your participation. This is probably one of the larger crowds that we've had in this region. So we'd like to thank Vinay and the ambassadors for doing a great job to get you guys here. Thank you. So AAHOA's on a path to make you money, save you money, protect your investments. We're doing that by focusing on the 4 pillars that guide the organization. That's our advocacy efforts, our products and services. And then we have community service as well as education, a lot of different education opportunities that we provide our membership. Those are the 4 pillars that guide the organization. They guide the staff that's in the DC office as well as the Atlanta office. We have over 32 staff members at this point, 30 staff members, who are all dedicated to serving the membership and how they can help you as a member of AAHOA and how that can help move this industry forward. So this year we have continued to focus on those efforts. A number of different initiatives are in place. But first, as I mentioned, lifetime membership has doubled in the last couple of years. And the reason for that is more and more people feel that there's a benefit to being part of AAHOA. But also, at the board level, we have initiatives that we've rolled out to help promote lifetime membership. So today, some of you may have heard, and I know the ambassadors had an opportunity to hear the discussion on why it's a great opportunity to be a lifetime member today. In Nashville, March 29th through April 1st is our next upcoming conference. And if you're a lifetime member, you will get complimentary attendance to that conference. It's on the $650 value. The following year, in San Antonio, we'll have another complimentary opportunity for lifetime members to join us in San Antonio. So right there, you're saving around $1,300 or so. You would have paid the annual dues both years, which is another $318. If you add all that together, that's almost a $1,500 savings when you add in the lifetime member gift that you also get for signing up, which is around a $100 value. So $3,000 you invest. If you plan to be at the next 2 conferences, half of that you would have basically earned back just by participating. And participating is the key to the success of this organization. As you know, vendors and the vendor partnerships that we put in place are the key to the success. Make sure we're still here 26 years from now. Make sure that we are the voice of industry.
We are financially stable. Our balance sheets are very strong. We're very limited or no liability. And that's because of you guys, members in this room. So give you guys a big round of applause. It's also because of our vendor partners. As our chairman mentioned, we've got a great program with Chase. So if you're not with Chase as far as your credit card processing, I urge all of you to join up with Chase. There's no cost to you guys. And within the first couple months, you're going to see your membership fee come back to you on the savings. Also, he talked about the MasterCard program. On your tables, there's an application to fill out the MasterCard. So I urge all of you guys to fill out the MasterCard. And if you fill out the MasterCard, you get one of these nice shirts. Everybody wants a AAHOA shirt, right? Everybody asks for a AAHOA shirt? Well, you get one of these nice shirts for filling out the AAHOA MasterCard. Also, one of our partners today said the first 3 people, or the first 3 members to fill out the form will get some nice bathroom faucets. So we've got some nice bathroom faucets somewhere over here. I think TJ has them over there. But the first 3 forms that are given to Kristen, you'll get one of those faucets over there. So I urge all of you, you get a t-shirt as well as a faucet. So please sign up. Some of the other programs that we have is we have a great program with Lowe's. So if you sign up with Lowe's, everybody goes to Lowe's for maintenance supplies. So if you sign up with Lowe's, you get their credit card. As a AAHOA member, you get additional 2%. HBO. If you signed a new agreement with your cable company or with the satellite provider, you get anywhere from $7 to $10 per room for just signing up with HBO, and that goes with Showtime as well. So I urge all of you to sign up with either HBO or Showtime. UPS, you save over 4,000.
Is well informed and educated to make them a better hotel owner and operator. One program that we offer is our CHO certification. The CHO program is a 5-day program consisting of 9 distinct modules. And the modules range from operations, human resources, to technology. And this program is at no cost to the AAHOA member. So I urge everyone, if you have not taken your CHO, please take the CHO when it comes to your town or in your area. And also the program is available online. So I urge everyone to get their CHO certification. We also host over 20 regional meetings throughout the year and over 100 town hall meetings across the nation. And the town hall meetings are more small, focused based on the issues that are affecting you directly in your area or on a national scale. We just recently hosted our women's conference in Dallas, Texas, thanks to Jagadish. We had over 500 women of AAHOA attend, and it was a great, successful event. And so thank you, Jagadish, for doing a great job on that. We will also be hosting Independent Hotelier Conference in Houston, Texas on November 4th and 5th. So if you're an independent hotelier, please plan on coming to Houston, Texas and attend our conference and engage with your fellow members to see what's the best practices in the industry. We also...
Thank you, HG. I want to follow up real quickly on what Bhavesh said about MasterCard. We're so excited about MasterCard. We're willing to give you the shirt off our back and throw in the kitchen sink, or at least the kitchen faucet. That's how much we want you to sign up for MasterCard, so please do. Many of you took part the last couple of days in our event here in Washington, D.C., and so we may be a little bit repetitive, but some of you may not have. So these issues are extremely important. Here's the bottom line. There's a big building down the street called the Capitol, and to my knowledge, there's maybe 1 or 2 people in that entire building that are serving there as an elected official who have ever been involved in the hotel business. So when they're making up laws, and there's nobody there to voice the interest of the hotel owner, what do you think is going to happen? How many people in this room believe that 10 years from now, government will be smaller, it'll have less of a role in your life, and you'll be able to run your business with more freedom? Sharon, you actually believe that?
Jordan?
So see, we ask that question to thousands of people all across the country, and nobody says yes, because they all know the government's getting bigger. They all know, all you know, the government just gets larger and larger and larger, more and more intrusive in your life. So if we know that's happening, if we know that train's headed towards us, do we just stand there and get run over, or do we try to do something to stop it? That's what AAHOA does, try to stop bad legislation. We are, simply put, the only voice in Washington, D.C., or anywhere else across the country that is literally fighting for hotel owners. There's people in the industry that do a fantastic job. Rolf does a fantastic job. But if you want one group that is dedicated specifically to the interest of owners, you're looking at it, right? And we take pride in that. But if we don't have the ability to have the resources, the time, the effort to go to that capital and use you as our army, it's not going to happen. Bruce?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we've had legislative summits over the years, and yesterday, as Chairman explained, we had over 300 appointments where 250 hoteliers came to Washington, D.C. across the nation and met with, out of those 300 appointments, over 150 congressional, which were actual members of Congress, who met with us. That's amazing. All we talked about was issues that affect all of us in this room and across owners across this country. Issues like the ones that are on the screen to the left of me. The first one that Rolf talked about earlier is, if you didn't really pay attention to this, this is really a franchise model killer. If the NLRB has their way and actually expands the definition of what they think a joint employer is, we could all in this room be trouble. How could we be in trouble? If the franchisors also counted as a joint employer, you as a franchisee may end up just working for the franchisor. They may also want to then tell you who to hire, when to hire, what benefits you have to provide, and get more involved in your operations. They don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. It's going to cost them money to do it, and it's going to cost us money to do it. Costing us money means increasing our expenses, decreasing our NOI, and decreasing our values of our property. So what is AAHOA doing? We immediately, when this ruling came out, went to Washington, D.C., all of us officers flew down there, met with some senators and congressmen who were dropping bills and have since then dropped bills, including H.R. 3459, Senate Bill 2015, which essentially reaffirms the original definition of what a joint employer is. That means if you want to be a joint employer in this country, you have to have actual, direct, and immediate control. So these little things, if they go on and pass and could affect us, and there's nobody there trying to protect the industry like us, then we would get affected negatively and financial impacts would occur. Chip?
Yeah, we're probably not going to go over all these for time's sake, but I want to point out that joint employer, extreme wage increases, even 40-hour work week, these are all part, just so you know what we're talking about. There's a group out there, let's just cut to the chase. It's called big labor. What is their plan? They don't hide their plan. Their plan is to dramatically increase unions in the private sector of this country, to get rid of the franchise model completely, to dramatically raise minimum wage to the $15, $16, $17 an hour range with automatic increases every single year, to unionize every single one of your businesses. That is their goal. They're not hiding this. It's no secret. This is exactly what they're telling us they want to do. Now, they haven't been able to do it through Congress, so they're going through the administration. This is their plan. By the way, they have about $100 million in PAC money to play with. These guys have a lot of money, right? So when we talk about this, this is not something, I mean, we used to think that something like joint employer would be crazy. I mean, who in their right mind would think that Marriott jointly employs your employees if you're a Marriott franchisee? Or that Choice jointly employs your... No one would have ever thought that. That is now the ruling from the administration. Marriott and Hilton have already been sued in 2 cases since it came out. And the litigants, the plaintiffs, claim joint employer status. So this is not some far-off thing anymore. This is happening right now. If we don't fight it, the world where your business is unionized, where you have to provide health care for every single one of your employees, where your minimum wage is $15 an hour, that's all going to happen. And it's going to happen very soon. So I'm not painting a rosy picture here. But if you know what your opponent's plan is and you simply ignore it, then you're probably going to end up on the losing side. And right now, we're getting hit pretty hard. These are things we have to fight for. So the next issue, we talked a lot about 1031 exchanges. You know there's a plan out there to get rid of 1031 exchanges. I want to go down to the ADA lawsuits because our vice chairman here got to testify with a member of Congress yesterday as a bill was finally dropped in Congress from Congressman Ted Poe to begin dealing with these things. And if you haven't been hit by one, I can promise you, your brethren in the AAHOA world have been hit by them across the country, and this is becoming a really big deal.
Yes, exactly. And in the state of Arizona, one single serial plaintiff with one law firm has sued over 100 hotels in 60 days. And the only reason why they're suing them is for monetary gain using the ADA law. And when I explained to media as well as the Congressman Poe that this is ridiculous, we got to stop it, and I thanked him for dropping that piece of legislation that essentially would help deter this kind of activity. We need to support this. We all have to do this if we want to stop frivolous lawsuits in this country.
We love the free market, right? Our only expectation is that whomever we compete with, they just simply got to play by the same rules. How many in here know what Airbnb is? Well, clearly in this area, Airbnb is a big issue. Anywhere up and down the Northeast coast and on the coast of California, and now across the country, it's becoming an enormous issue. If you don't believe me, after we get done with this, pull up your phone. Don't do it right now like Chirag's doing, but pull up your phone later and just type in Washington, D.C. and see how many Airbnb units are for rent tonight right here in this city. Because I promise you it's in the thousands. Guess what? They're all competing with you directly, and guess what? They're not collecting occupancy taxes. That is a big issue.
Yeah, this is a huge monetary implication to the hotel industry. And if you haven't heard of it, you really need to understand this. It is actual competition. It's not like OTAs where they take a percentage and you actually get the rest of the revenue. They take all the revenue and compete directly with us. And what we're saying is if you want to play in a competitive marketplace, play by the same rules. That's all we're saying. So with that, Chip, I believe we have our next speaker here.
Yes.
That you look like you're about to introduce.
Bruce knows me so well. It is my distinct honor, the 6th Congressional District in Wisconsin. He currently serves on the House Budget Committee, the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform, and the Education and Workforce Committee, as well as the Joint Economic Committee. Prior to serving in the United States House of Representatives, he served in the Wisconsin State Assembly from 1993 all the way until 2015, last serving as the Assistant Majority Leader up until 2015. He received his undergraduate degree from the University of Wisconsin and a law degree, also from the University of Wisconsin, as they say up there. So it is my distinct honor to introduce to you one of our best friends in Congress. He's new to Congress, but he's a great friend to AAHOA, Congressman Glenn Grogan.
Well, thank you for being here. And I don't mean thank you for being in this room tonight, or thank you for being a member of this organization. I say thank you for being in America. And the reason I say is America's a great country, but in order for America to stay a great country, we constantly need new blood from people who understand what made America great. People who are willing to go into business, take the risk, work 60 hours a week, and make a go of it. And it is always a struggle in America to keep the free precepts that made our country great, right? There are always groups of people out there who think they know how to run your business better than you. And hypothetically in our Constitution, these people shouldn't be able to make any traction. But sadly, there are a lot of politicians and a lot of judges who are doing things that not only are wrong, but are ridiculous, right? And we talked about some of them over here. You know, I came here just a second ago, so I don't like to repeat myself or repeat what has already been said. But you look at things like the joint employer standard or this overtime law. And they're ridiculous, aren't they?
Yeah.
Look at the overtime law. There's a guy I know, his daughter went off to work, and he told his daughter, he says, if you want to be successful, always make sure you're the first person to show up at work every day and the last person to leave. That was pretty good advice. Now Barack Obama wants to make it against the law to work hard. Isn't that kind of weird? We got a president who wants to make it against the law to work hard. So we have that problem. That problem hanging over us. We just talked about the ridiculous lawsuits. And people who can't help but stick their nose into other people's business to help the trial lawyers, to give a lot of money to politicians. There's absolutely no reason for people to defend that law. But I'll tell you this, and I'm glad that somebody introduced a bill on that thing. That bill is not going to pass for at least 2 years, because we got a president who does what the trial lawyers tell him, right? And that's a big problem. The other thing I'm going to address, which I don't think you have up here, but I'm going to point it out to you, and I know you guys run into it, is we have a welfare system in America that's run amok, right? We pay people not to work. So either you put an ad in the paper, they don't work, or they only want to work 15 hours a week, or they only want to work for so many months because then they get unemployment again, right? They're trying to destroy America. Not to mention, you may not see it from your work, but in order to get those benefits, a lot of times you get married, you lose those benefits. So in other words, the government right now is encouraging people to raise kids without a mother and father at home. Isn't that nuts? It's nuts. So I'm glad you're here, because too many of the Americans who've been here for too long have been sucked into this. They like the idea of having some trial lawyers saying you get some cash. They like the idea of sitting on their butt all day and watching television and have somebody else pay for their Doritos or their low-income housing or whatever it is, right? So I guess you're supposed to ask me for something. I'm going to ask you for something. I want you to go back and tell all your employees and tell all your family members about the screwball politicians who are ruining America, so that next year we can sweep them out. Now, thanks for having me. I think I used my 5 minutes, so I guess you guys are going to give me free food, so I'll hang around for that.
Well, that was more than I expected. We have had many elected officials grace the AAHOA stage before. We have had none that did it quite as well as the congressman did. Especially this late hour, we certainly appreciate the inspired speech. So with that, we are going to give you, Congressman, an appreciation plaque here for your steadfast support of the hotel industry, and we honor you at the AAHOA Washington Regional in 2015. Now, before we take questions, we have one other plaque. I apologize I didn't hand this out earlier. Rolf Lundberg, please come on up here. This gentleman does a great job working for us in the halls of Congress to defend the position of our industry. We thank him for being here tonight, and we want to honor you with this plaque.
Thank you. Oh, no.
So now we have to do what we came here for, which is to collect PAC. So there's been a number of folks that have had an opportunity to join us at the FNAC, the Fall National Advocacy Conference, in this last couple of days. And some of those folks actually contributed, and Vinny has those folks' information. But again, you know, we're only as good as how much we have in our PAC and how much we spend in our PAC. And we have to, of course, continue to rebuild the PAC every year, because without PAC funds, all we have is voting power, and as Asian Americans, we don't have a lot of that. So we have to make sure that we maximize what we do have. So when you get an opportunity over here, take a look at the screen to the right and where Washington District is on this map. So we're in the nation's capital, and our members are at the bottom of the list. So can you mention some of the names that may have already contributed? We're looking for some additional contributions. Hopefully you see a benefit in what we do. You had a number of folks discuss some of the issues that we're dealing with. You had a number of elected officials actually even say the same. And so these issues that we're working on are going to impact your bottom line. And if you really, some of the folks on this list are our own employees. So, you know, we're looking forward to some additional contributions.
It's missing a zero.
$16.
016.
No.
$160.
Guys,
$16.
you know, the last 2 days, we were lobbying on hills of Congress. And when you look at that, think about it. We're in Washington, D.C. We live this stuff. We should be understanding this stuff. And yet, we're still at the bottom of the pack. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing almost to sit there and say, look, we are in D.C., and yet we're at the bottom of the pack. And even right now, today, trying out there to try and get PAC funds is very difficult. So I hope you guys understand that anything, that kind of about bribery in any way at all. But in essence, we should be professionals at this sort of stuff. We really should be, because this is how it is, that's how things work out there. And yet, please, I encourage you, just for the fact that we're protecting your business. We're not protecting our business, we're not going to save you the $3,000. It cost me $50,000 with all the hotels. Some of our larger players probably cost a lot more than that. So my point is that it's a frivolous law. As you all know, and you'll be surprised, and I'm not going to offend the congressperson in the room, some of these guys that are up here simply don't know what they're doing. And you look, obviously, as you can tell, we've got a long ways to go. We've got really a long ways to go. So please, I encourage you guys to look at the association, look at the website. If you have any questions, reach out to me and say, hey, look, Renee, I've got a question on this. But help us help you. It boils down to that simple as that. Help us help you.
And at the end, are a major force in the hotel industry in the United States. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be politically influential and active. We got to get the right people in United States Congress elected. Why? People that know small business, people that are pro-small business, people that understand the front of a paycheck, not just the back of a paycheck. Because if you get the right people elected, ideally, they're going to make better laws. Better laws mean a better working environment for us and our employees. And the